If you're using AI to help you in your writing process, whether that's in the brainstorming or in the final prose, I'm going to walk you through one crucial uh, process that I highly recommend you use, whether you're brainstorming or editing or whatever the case is. A lot of people think that AI is only capable of producing sort of generic, mundane, cliche content, but that's actually not true. And in this video, I've identified a specific way in which you can avoid most of those cliches and significantly make your output a lot more original. So let's dive in. All right, for this video, we are going to be using ChatGPT. It seems to be the most well-known of all of the chatbots, but you can do this whole process in any other chatbot. Additionally, this is a process that really can be adapted into a bunch of different processes. And what I'm going to show you today is specific to a brainstorming process. Okay, what I want to do is come up with some world building processes for a book or books that I want to write and do it in a way where it's not defaulting to really unoriginal cliche fantasy tropes. Tropes can be fine, but if they're overused and not really iterated upon, they end up becoming pretty cliche. And that's what we want to avoid in today's method. So starting in ChatGPT, this step is super simple. All we're going to do is start by asking it, what are some common cliches or stereotypes in the fantasy genre? And we'll start with that. All right, and here we go. It has given me a whole bunch of common tropes and cliches from the fantasy genre. So looking at characters and archetypes, which, by the way, I divided these up conveniently into character, plot, and world-building cliches, which is nice. So we have the Chosen One, definitely the wise old mentor like Gandalf, Dumbledore, and Obi-Wan, the Dark Lord, the farm boy hero like Luke Skywalker, Randall, Thor, Aragon, the token rogue, the damsel in distress, the evil race, and the comic relief sidekick. Keep in mind, you might still want some of these. These aren't necessarily bad things to have, but if you do have them, you need to make sure that you're not just making it cliche, that you're doing a kind of fresh take on these things. But keep in mind that some of these are essential to certain genres, and if you subvert them too much, you may actually be alienating some of the readers, especially if they came for like a traditional high fantasy with elves and dwarves and such, and you come up with like all of these weird, completely original races that nobody's ever heard of. Some people would like that, some wouldn't. So it's important to understand your audience first. But this is just for demonstration purposes, right? So we got plot tropes, we got the prophecy, the MacGuffin quest, the underdog army. I wouldn't say that one's too cliche, but that's, well, yeah, I guess a ragtag group of rebels taking on impossibly large empires. That's true. A good example of this done well is Bridge 4 in Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive. It's definitely an underdog army, but done so in a way that's totally fresh and original. So that's something to keep in mind. And then world building cliches, we have medieval Europe again. Yep, that makes sense. The overpowered magic system, the tavern meeting. I actually really like the tavern meeting for some reason. I have a special place in my heart for that one. To any fantasy fans out there, let me know what you think of the tavern meeting. Generic fantasy races like elves, dwarves, orcs, and dragons, and the mysterious ancient civilization. All right, so these are all, I would definitely agree, these are all pretty common and cliche, or at least they're cliche when done generically, which is how AI would normally depict these things. And if I were to just ask for a list of fantasy stories or fantasy story ideas from ChatGPT, it would probably include a whole lot of these cliches in them. So instead, our second part of the prompt here is going to be, let's start by coming up with some characters. Give me, we'll say 5 characters for a novel, well, for a fantasy novel. Make sure they do not conform to any of the above listed cliches. And here we go. We got a whole bunch of characters here. I will say that some of their names are still kind of generic fantasy names that ChatGPT is known to do. But you can easily take this method and apply it to fantasy names. In fact, maybe I'll show you that later, or we'll do another example. But we got a healer with a vengeance, the reluctant tax collector, disgraced scholar. That one I would say is maybe a little cliche. The pacifist minotaur, and the fisherwoman turned diplomat. And there's so none of these conform to those cliches for sure. Let's try something a little more specific. Give me 5 ideas for a fantasy race that doesn't conform to any of the above mentioned cliches or any other stereotypes. All right, it's giving me 5 examples here, and I'll admit these are pretty original. In fact, I was reading through these and immediately got a whole bunch of like short story ideas. I saw, for instance, this first one, the Oranthi, living tapestries. The Oranthi are sentient beings woven from enchanted silk, their bodies shaping patterns of embroidery that display their emotions, memories, and ancestry. They do not age in the traditional sense, but unravel over time, requiring master weavers to restitch their essence. Instead of speaking, they communicate through intricate symbols that appear on the fabric, forming visual poetry. Some Oranthi choose to weave parts of themselves into others, merging histories and creating a shared consciousness. Like, that is interesting. I don't know if I could get a whole fantasy book out of that, or if it would really fit well with another fantasy world that I've built, but that's at least a pretty interesting, thought-provoking short story. There's something you could do there for sure. And the same goes for all of these others. They're all very interesting, very original when compared to what you would normally get if you just asked it for some races, right? Of course, sometimes you just want elves, right? Sometimes you don't need these totally original things, but sometimes it's nice to inject a little bit of some really original ideas into these stories. So let's try another example, and I'll do this with fantasy names because coming up with names is often a big problem. So I'm just going to ask the same question. What are some common tropes, cliches, or stereotypes regarding fantasy names? Or to be more specific, I'm going to say regarding names in fantasy books. So we got apostrophe overload, definitely hard to pronounce high fantasy name, Dark Lord syndrome, the prophecy name, classical and mythological borrowings, the overly simple commoner name, alliterations and repetitive sounds, the evil queen name, dwarven naming rules, elven naming elegance, animal-related names, the title first name, biblical or religious influences, MacGuffin-esque naming, gender name tropes, the X factor, XYZ, and other rare letters I use to make names look cool. Yeah, I could see that. All right, give me a list of 20 fantasy names that do not use any of these cliches. All right, it's giving me a bunch of names, and I think these are pretty solid. Some of them, like maybe Varen, I think I might have seen before. They all sound plausible as fantasy names, so I'm okay with them. Some like Hawthorne, I would say that might be a little bit cliche there. So it's not always going to get everything right, but compared to if I just asked it for 20 names for a fantasy book, it would be giving me Lyras and Alaras and all these names that I've heard a million times before going through stuff like this using ChatGPT. And that actually leads me to a problem that a lot of writers have and don't know that they have, especially if you're using AI. A lot of authors that come to me and join my community, and we've got hundreds of you now inside of my paid community, as well as thousands now. We're like over 3,000 in the free community. Both of those are linked down below, by the way. One of the common issues that I often see authors have when they're coming at this from a place where AI is like the main tool that they're using is they often don't know what they don't know. They don't know what actually make a cliche. And so their text, their prose ends up with a lot of cliches in them. And that becomes pretty identifiable to an experienced editor. I see prose all the time from authors who have sent me their stuff because I get tons of emails of that sort of thing, which, by the way, please don't. I don't have time to review all of your work. But I see a whole lot of it, and it's very obvious and clear to me that it was written with AI, and that's because they're not understanding certain things like deep point of view and show versus tell and viewpoint and all of these things, as well as what are the common cliches in terms of the sentence structure that AI tends to gravitate towards. And this is the sort of thing that I am attempting to fix, especially in my paid membership group. I just hired a developmental editor to come in there. He does weekly classes showing you about what makes a good book, what makes a good story, what makes good prose, etc., and helping you to identify all of those different common cliches and things that you want to eliminate from your book when you're in the editing process. You can absolutely become a fantastic writer if you're using AI, but keep in mind that the skill set is a little bit different. right? Since you're not writing the words yourself, although you may, depending on how you use AI, but let's say you're using AI to actually write the first draft, there's going to be things in there that you just miss because you didn't write it yourself. And that's fine. That's totally normal. And in fact, a good editor can take somebody else's book and turn it into an amazing book without ever having to have written a book themselves. And it's the same way with AI. So it's a slightly different skill, more akin to being an editor than being the actual, writer who wrote the first draft. And so helping you understand all of those skills that you need is part of what we cover inside of that group. And so I'd hope to check that out. Additionally, if you want more info on brainstorming and everything that I covered here and how to come up with all of the ideas that you want to come up with, I would recommend checking out this video, which goes into a full course on the subject. So I've give you pretty much all my brainstorming techniques in there. So check that video out and I will see you in the next one.